Here with Natalie Metzger, producer of two films at Tribeca 2021. They are The Beta Test and Werewolves Within. And we're very excited to talk to her about the films. And you should also know that she is the VP of Development and Production at Vanishing Angle. She's been making an incredible amount of movies in the past few years, that many of which have been festival darlings. And watch this space. This is a talent to watch. Why don't you take it away and tell us what has been exciting about these two films and your involvement in them as producer and through Vanishing Angle.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been a really weird couple years, but we were very lucky to have these two projects in the works pre-pandemic, and then we're able to complete post on them during the pandemic. So we were very lucky in the timing. The beta test came first. We actually filmed that in late fall of 2019. And we had raised the funds through a crowd equity company called WeFunder. So we launched the campaign, and so like it's different from Kickstarter, which is like crowd donation. So like WeFunder specifically crowd equity. So you're investing in the film, you are a profit participant in the film, and so we raised the entire budget of the film in 12 days after launching that campaign, and it was a lot of investors that were just giving like $100 each, but that really adds up when you have a whole team of people behind it. So yeah, so we did that WeFunder campaign, made the film at the end of 2019, and then at the beginning of 2020, we headed to upstate New York to produce Werewolves Within, which we partnered with Ubisoft, the video game company. This was kind of their first endeavor doing a project completely independently, where they like financed the entire thing and did it within like their own, like under their own label. And so we worked with them on it, and it was so exciting. So we pitched Josh Rubin, the director, after we had seen a really early rough cut screening of his first feature, Scare Me. And it was right around the time that we were talking with Ubisoft, and they were like, yeah, we haven't, attached a director yet. And we knew that Josh has had such a really great, strong handle on horror comedy. So we're like, we know someone. So we pitched him, they loved him. He got attached as the director. And then, yeah, we filmed in upstate New York from January 5th through March 9th of 2020. So we flew back to LA March 10th, and then 3 days later, the lockdown was announced. So we were very lucky in the fact that we got it in the can just in time. And yeah, and then we did all of post-production remotely. So we were in post on both the beta test and Werewolves Within simultaneously. And we were able to finish them on time and get them into Tribeca. And so excited to actually be having an in-person premiere. That was what we were really kind of holding out for, and really excited that we can sit with an audience and hear their responses.
Natalie and the rest of the Vanishing Angle team actually had a really great panel at South by Southwest this year. Can you please remind me what the title of the panel was?
Oh gosh, I think it was From Seed to Screen. I believe was the title, but
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking like about taking a project from script phase like all the way through production, like pre-production, post, and then also distribution and getting it out into the world. And oftentimes like there are companies or creatives that focus on just like one aspect of that, but for us it's like really important that we're seeing the film all the way through until it's out in the world, and even like years, decades, even after it's been out, it's like still trying to like make sure that it's getting seen.
Right. I think you talked a lot about how many aspects of the process you handle in-house. And it sounds like your team is super dedicated to realizing the vision from beginning to end. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that and your philosophy at Vanishing Angle in terms of production.
Yeah, I mean, For us, we try to make sure that we're tailoring everything specifically to the filmmaker and the project. And so we see a lot of other projects get kind of there are these like broad categories of like, great, this is the budget, this is the general genre, go, you know, go make this, and it's more of a like one size fits all. And we find that the more specifically you can tailor the budget, the like distribution plan, everything to the specific filmmaker and project, you can be a lot more efficient with your money and your time. And also you can just make a stronger project. So yeah, like, so there's some filmmakers that want to prioritize getting a ton of takes, and there are some filmmakers that want to prioritize really involved production design, or some filmmakers who just need a lot of time in post to kind of discover it there. And so the more that we work with different filmmakers and we try to do like a short film with someone or like a micro budget first feature, so we can get to know a filmmaker's like vibe, their style, what their priorities are, and then we can tailor stuff to them so that we're making sure that, okay, well, we know that we need to prioritize a lot of takes for this particular production. So, but you know, where can we save in order to make sure that that priority is taken care of? And yeah, and like with you know Jim's films, it's been you know a kind of wide range of. With Thunder Road, we decided to self-distribute and had a lot of success, you know, doing that. And then his next film, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, we partnered with MGM Orion, and they released the film, and it was a studio movie. And then you know with this one, we were kind of prepared to go either way. With you know with the beta test, we were like, okay, let's make sure that we are planning and budgeting for a like a marketing strategy and all of these things for if we have to self-distribute. But we're going to see how we feel about it. We're going to see like what distribution offers come in, and if we feel like we can find the right partner. And we felt like we just found this amazing partner in IFC Films, where they just really understood the film. And it's a crazy kind of intense film, and they just like really got behind it and were really excited about it. And so that felt right to then distribute with them. And so yeah, like I guess like our kind of general motto is being filmmaker forward, which like I think a lot of companies like might say, but like part of the specifics of how we act that is tailoring the entire plan to the specific filmmaker and project, even when it comes to distribution.
Yeah, and that definitely shines in your work. It feels like you guys are very conscious of voice, and your particular films you produce are very driven by unique and original voices, and commitment to those voices. Um, and the beta test was no exception. It definitely was hilarious and uh, occasionally disturbing uh, dramedy. And it reminded me of Altman's The Player at times, the great
Really?
layers of Hollywood insider humor and also paranoia. And I'm still kind of processing. I feel like I'm in the main character's head still, and I'm paranoid about this interview. But it was a very unique balancing of tonal balancing act that handled its drama in a unique way, while also paying homage to some classics like The Player, and also it had kind of a Safdie Bros energy to the thrilling parts. So I don't want to prattle on about it any longer, but basically, I'm curious what your take is, how this latest project fits into the greater of Vanishing Angle, your collaborations with Jim, and where you feel this project may be leading you next.
Yeah, I mean, with the beta test, I feel like, I mean, I was so excited after I read the script. I felt like it was such a clear uh, it was so clearly Jim's voice, and you know Jim's co-director PJ. It was like very clearly like the two of them kind of combined. in this kind of like thriller comedy erotic thing that they created together. But it also felt like something like new and fresh as well, which I mean, first and foremost, Jim is not playing a cop, so that's like a change. But yeah, I mean, I was really excited when I read it, because like it's tackling some really big issues within our industry, and I don't think everyone is going to respond positively to it. There's definitely some like things that get called out that kind of get normally shoved under the rug, but Jim kind of like points his finger at it and says, this isn't cool. And so I'm really curious to hear what the industry response will be, but I also think it's about time that we start like having films that are like calling this stuff out in a more kind of clear way, and also entertaining way, that like people can like watch it and enjoy it, but maybe it also makes them think a little bit. But yeah, I mean, after I read it, I was just so excited. I was like, yeah, okay, we're taking on all these people. Okay, great, let's do it. And yeah, I mean, I think it sets up Jim. I mean, it just shows such a range for his performance. And yeah, and I mean, there's some erotic stuff, which is like kind of new for him, in terms of just like what we've seen him do before. And yeah, I think it's like a really exciting next step.
Just
I'm
a
like,
moment.
so I'm so paranoid of saying it's exciting too much.
Right. Yeah, you've seen the film one too many times. It's the character starting to rub off on you. Yeah, we love this. We're really excited about this.
Yeah, we constantly like joke around, in our calls with IFC, where we're like, setting release dates and doing all this stuff. We always end it with like, we like notice, ourselves doing like, great, well, this is all so exciting, and we're like, oh my God, we're doing it. It's yeah, it's pretty funny.
Well, the best comedy is rooted in truth, and it definitely feels like an occasionally exaggerated side of our industry.
Yeah, I mean, Jim and PJ like interviewed a lot of assistants, a lot of like ex-agents, like to get kind of like real inside stories. And a lot of the dialogue is actually like verbatim based off of the stories that they heard.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
um, and there were even little bits of I think the greener grass satire bleeding through. I know that's a totally different artistic voice behind that film, but it
No,
does seem it does feel in some ways like the accumulation of all the work that you've done so far, and sort of an evolution of your work as a producer. And I'm curious if you agree, or if that's something you're conscious of, or
yeah, I mean, that's interesting, but I can totally see why you say that. And I mean, I think like part of that is also because they're all friends. So Jim Cummings, Josh Rubin, who directed Werewolves Within, and then Jocelyn DeBoer and Don Luby, who directed Greener Grass. They're all buddies, and we kind of met each other all through each other, which we actually discovered very, very recently, like this past year. Because I had met Jocelyn and Dawn through Jim Cummings, because they were looking for a producer for their short film, and they had asked Jim for a recommendation, and he sent them my name. And so we did a short together called The Arrival, and then did the feature, of Greener Grass together. But Josh was in Greener Grass, and so was Jim, which I think is interesting that both of those directors were in Greener Grass. But then also we just discovered that they all met each other at the same South by Southwest party. And Josh had kind of been in our circle for like a little bit, and like we had like almost done a short film together, but the timing didn't work out. And he was just kind of like around, like he would come by our offices every once in a while. And so then, when he did Scare Me, and we saw it, we were able to pitch him as a director. It was so fun to like bring it around. But like, Jocelyn and Dawn gave like like came to one of our feedback screenings and gave feedback on Werewolves Within, and so did Jim. And it's very much like a like similar kind of collective of people that have like very unique voices, but I think are interested in similar things in society, which maybe helps connect them. Like they each have, I think, a very different sense of humor, or like a different way of conveying comedy. But there are weird similarities, which is interesting.
Right, which I think lends to the specificity of the voice and the humor, because it feels more like a group of people, as you said, with similar sensibilities, kind of trying to make each other laugh, trying to get at something poignant through the way they might relate to one another, as opposed to trying to make a broad comedy that makes everyone laugh, which I think speaks to the quality of the work. And you definitely see that in Jim's different his monologues, which have become his legendary specialty. But even in this film, he changes it up a lot, and his character is a lot less likable, and you can still sympathize with him, but it's a lot more fraught than maybe we're used to in terms of his moral compass.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so for those of you that don't know about Greener Grass, the poster that's directly behind Natalie, that was a film that premiered at Sundance that she produced in 2019.
Yes. No, yes.
2019. Okay, confirmed. And it's really hilarious, very surreal comedy. We did an interview on it earlier, so you should check that out, both the film and the interview. And since then, Natalie has joined Vanishing Angle full time as the VP of Development and Production. And your career has kind of skyrocketed since we last talked in terms of output, and I'm sure effort and time spent on your work. So I'm curious just to know how things have evolved for you, and what have been some big takeaways from I guess the leveling up.
Yeah, I mean, it's been such an amazing whirlwind of of just the films that have come out and the responses that we've gotten. I feel very, very lucky that that the filmmakers that I love working with are also filmmakers that people like love their work, and so it's this like great combination of I get to make movies with people that I admire so much, and just love being around, but then also get to enjoy watching it, and other people enjoy watching it too. So that's just exciting. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a bit of a shift to working full time. I mean, we joke around that at Vanishing Angle, um, even if you're freelancing, like the projects end up being so back to back that you end up never leaving the offices anyway. And we very much try to create that kind of like family hangout atmosphere, and vibe where people like do just like come and hang out and want to and like what's really, really fun about that is that there's also these really great collaborations that end up kind of coming out of that, of like you see two people working in the office who didn't know each other, and then a couple hours later you see them talking and they're like, hey, he's gonna write on this thing, and and he's gonna direct. Like it's just like it's this kind of really fun like creative incubator, which is really great. But yeah, but shifting to full time at VA, like my like the day to day of my job didn't change much. I'm still like the on the ground producer for a lot of our films, but it allowed me to be kind of part of more of the like company strategy side, which is also like really exciting to me. Of like, how do we really like grow the company and grow the brand, and build an awareness of what we're doing and the filmmakers that we're working with.
So I'd love it if you could tell me a little more about that, because that does sound like a deviation from the strategies that we talked about in our last interview, which were much more immediate and related to the individual production. And now you kind of have to also do that, but have this long-term view. So how do you balance those two, and Yeah, what's that like?
Yeah, I mean, I see them as being very like symbiotic. So, the more that, Vanishing Angle becomes a known quantity within the industry and people become like really like familiar with our work as being like, festival darling stuff, like critically acclaimed, that just makes it that much easier for us to help the next project get made, both with like on the financing side, if people like, can have faith and trust that like we will turn around to, a strong project of good quality, on budget, on schedule. But also, for when we go out to cast, that there's like, an element of like the agencies take you a little bit more seriously, and the actors are more willing to like read it if they like are more familiar with the material and the filmmaker. And so like it's kind of this, a rising tide raises all ships. Like it's like, as the Vanishing Angle brand grows, each of our filmmakers profiles grow, and vice versa, and that also helps boost all the projects as well. And even for like, projects that we had that, like, a bread factory, which is Patrick Wing's kind of like double feature that he did, is like it's gotten so well reviewed, and I think it's like still 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's such a strong film, but not as many people are as aware of it as like some of the other films. But like, because it's on our list of films now, that now people are like, oh, I want to check out that thing. Oh, I want, what is that thing that you guys did? And so it's been like really fun to see how it's kind of helped spread the love kind of across the board. But yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to see what it opens up for the future for the filmmakers that we work with and the projects that we have in development. Like this year already has been so jam packed. Shockingly, even with the pandemic, but like we shot this sci-fi series in New Orleans earlier this spring, and right after Tribeca we go straight to Utah for a new feature, and then straight from that movie we go to two other features. So like we already will have four features this year, and potentially even a fifth before the end of the year. So it's been crazy. I think like the next lesson to learn is bandwidth, which is always a tough thing, because I hate saying no to projects, because I'll like read a script and I fall in love with it, and I like meet the filmmaker and I get so excited about it. But I also like want to make sure that I'm able to like give everyone the like proper amount of time and energy.
Definitely. And in spite of all your recent successes, you don't seem to have changed at all into the Hollywood exec cliches that your film depicts. So it does seem like you guys adhere to a very familial philosophy at Vanishing Angle, which is cool.
Yeah, that's like really, really important to us. Like, I mean, one, we have like a no diva or asshole policy. We're very like strict about like, if someone just like has that big ego issue, we just like tend to not want to work with them, just because like that can it just like hurts everyone on set. It definitely affects the vibe. And like for us, it's all about like that kind of team spirit of like that collaborative, like we're doing this together, like, as a team, and everyone should feel like they are contributing something important. So hopefully we can, always maintain that.
And you have also spent some time directing yourself, documentaries and commercials, I believe. So I'm curious how your directing experience influences the types of projects and directors that you choose to work with.
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I was just talking to someone earlier today about this, and I haven't talked to anyone about it before. And so I was like, oh, this is so interesting. But yeah, so I directed as well. I did this short film back in 2019 called Immortal that I co-directed with Bob Allaire, and we're developing it into a feature film. But yeah, I really think that having a director background really helps me as a producer, because I know exactly what I would want from a producer in that moment of like, okay, if I'm in the middle of this thing, like, what do I need right now? And so much of it is like having a person with you that's like in the trenches with you, that's figuring it out and like helping support you so that you can focus on the creative. And so, yeah, I think like it coming from a director background actually gives me a perspective that allows me to be a better producer. And the same thing with Matt Miller. He started as a director and then switched to producing. And so yeah, I think it helps. And um yeah, and I'm continuing to direct, but like in my ideal world, I'm like producing 75% of the time and then writing and directing like 25% of the time. Like I love like writing and directing. But like in small portions of like, cool, I'm going to do this project and then I'm going to take some time to like, re reconfigure and then go back. But yeah, and like producing to me is so creative that I get just so much satisfaction out of it.
What have been some of the most exciting aspects of these latest projects that you've produced creatively?
Um, well, I mean, it's interesting because they're on such different spectrums in terms of the like logistical side. Because like the beta test was this like micro budget feature that we shot in LA with very limited resources. I was the first AD as well as the producer, and so there's just like a different relationship to that when it's like a very small like 20-person crew. You're producing, you're ADing, you're kind of just like you know, um, doing all of the logistics. And then Werewolves Within was like a much bigger budget project in like comparison, and working with like a big company like Ubisoft that has like an existing structure and because of the size of the budget, you have like it was a union film, it was a certain size crew, and so it's just like they're on such different aspects of the spectrum, but still so equally satisfying. I think that's like one of the things that people don't realize. I think there's this sense of, oh, I just like want to like work my way up so that I can get to the bigger budget projects. But we still love doing these like micro budget features. There's something that's really special about the intimacy of like a small crew where you're like in like full control of the creative and like can really like dig in. But I mean, it is nice also to have the resource to be able to like pull off some stuff. Like we threw some curveballs into the script that were kind of like big budget set pieces that we're really proud of and excited about, but we were able to do it because we had the resources to be able to pull it off. And the ensemble cast for Werewolves Within, oh my gosh, that cast was just so amazing to be around. They're hilarious. They were constantly kidding around with each other, and like if you were in the same room as them, you had to be careful because you might like laugh out loud and ruin a take. It was just one of those environments, and Josh is just such a dream to watch direct. He, because he also comes from an acting background, he's so funny. He's constantly joking and like and doing voices. He's so good at impressions that he'll be doing these like crazy voices as he's like directing, and he's always trying to make us laugh, which is great.
Well, that's very inspiring to hear. And it makes sense that you all wear many hats and help out in different ways with each other's projects. And that way everyone stays inspired and excited. Excited. Uh, what piece of advice would you now give your former self in our last interview?
Focus on the people that you love. I feel like that just makes for a much happier workplace environment, and I also just think it makes for a happier creative environment. Like I think um yeah, there's so many amazing filmmakers, and I think it's like just really it's really great when you find someone that you can work with repeatedly that you just that inspires you. Um, and so yeah, I mean, I guess that, and maybe learn to take a break in between each project, maybe.
Yeah, that's the moral of the story. Very, very well said.
Hey, this is Eric from IONCINEMA.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.